has been 3 for me, and it has been more than 3 for reggae.com. But guess what? We're here with you on the air and you online, and so we're going to encourage you to go back and watch some of our previous programs that you can access by going to reggae.com, scrolling down to the box that has videos, Ustream, and chat. Click on the videos and you'll see a list of all the programs that we have done before. So today we are doing part 2 of Pay As You Enter. But as we go into part 2, I would really like for us to look at the 4 rules. The 4 rules of celebrating life every moment of every day. Rule number 1. Rule number 1 says that you must know where you're going. Know where you're going. Rule number 2 is know the driver. Know the driver. Rule number 3 is pay as you enter. Pay as you enter. And rule number 4 is celebrate the journey. Enjoy the ride. And so on Monday, that show covered the first rule, which was know where you're going. Tuesday, we did know the driver. I am just a co-pilot. The driver is my creator. And so you need to know the driver if you want to access everything that he has to give you. Rule number 3 was pay as you enter. And we did that on Wednesday. Today is Thursday and we're doing part 2 of rule number 3. So that we can easily slide tomorrow into rule number 4, which is celebrate life on the journey. So here we are coming to you with all the good stuff from Jamaica on reggae to reggae.com. It's our radio and TV channel, if you want to call it, online production. And you need to just log on there anytime, 24/7. You can go back in and look at everything that we have done over the past 2 weeks into our archives, bring it up, and sit down and watch it at your leisure. And guess what? I would really recommend that you always have paper and pencil. Some note taking, well, not necessarily paper or pencil. Maybe you want to have your iPad or your smartphone or whatever, but just take notes, because one of the things that we always recommend is that you write the vision. Every dream and every vision that comes into your head, you need to record it. Write the vision. Make it plain so that those who read it can run with it. And guess what? The first person who has to read it is you, the person who wrote the vision. So everything that comes to your mind, every weird idea, every unbelievable item, everything, it's the issue of imagination, right? Whatever you can imagine, you can bring to pass, because everything, your thoughts, your imaginations, all the abundance that is around, you need to harness it. How do you harness it? Put it down on paper, record it on some kind of device, whether it is orally or written or on your iPad or your computer or whatever. Write it down, because if you don't complete your vision in your lifetime, then it will be there for the next generation to complete it. Because remember, any vision that's really big usually has a future after the person who initially brought it up or had the vision is past and gone. You've got to keep that going by recording it. I think I have said enough about that. So we're getting back to pay as you enter. Let's just go over the concept of paying as you enter and not at the end, because it's a whole concept of sowing and reaping. Anytime you want a big harvest at the end, you've got to put in everything at the beginning. That's when you buy the seeds, that's when you till the soil, that's when you sow the seeds, and then you have to water it, you have to fertilize it. Make sure you're using natural fertilizer. We're going to have a program on agriculture where we show you how you can have sustainable agriculture without buying any of those poisons that they call fertilizers. No chemicals, because we have all the trees and all the shrubs and all the herbs which are natural fertilizers for all the things that you would want to grow. So, back to the analogy. We are going to make sure that we put in everything at the beginning, and then we can, move along. And when you get to the end, then that's the time you don't have to pay anymore. It's just pure reaping and enjoying it. So, pay as you enter. When you get onto this bus, there are certain things that you have to do. One, you have to decide that it's not a free ride. Nothing in life is free. Absolutely nothing. If you don't pay for it, somebody else has paid for it. And so you need to appreciate that. And there is nothing that you can own unless you make your own contribution to it. So when you understand the importance of owning your own vision, your own dream, you need to understand the importance of paying as you enter, putting in your part. You have a responsibility, and you must make your contribution if you're really going to reap the full benefits of what the process will end up at. We spoke yesterday about the corn and how when you plant one corn seed, you're going to reap thousands of grains of corn. You probably have 3 to 5 ears of corn. But when you count each grain, which is between 350 to 490 in each ear, then you get thousands of grains from one stalk. Now, our principle is not only to plant one grain and reap all the corn off of one stalk, but to replant your first fruits. We recommend that if you want to really go patch into the abundance that is available, that you have to replant all of your first fruits. And then after that, you can just chill, sit back, and know that your abundance is waiting for you down the road. But a lot of persons, after yesterday, said, wow, these concepts are really amazing. But let's do some how-to steps. How do you move from where you are at now to the place where you want to be? And it has to do with the commitments that you make, right? And that's why I'm bringing down my bracelet. See this? It says, I promise. And it's part of the pledge of Jamaica. And guess what? If you belong to any other country, you can embrace this pledge because it's a wonderful promise for anybody who wants to really actualize and do what is best for their own country and the whole human race. So, I pledge, and the whole of the pledge is something that I have promised to keep. But how do you keep those things? Because you see all these concepts that people constantly talk about, these motivational speakers and these get-rich-quick people who are always coming with, you can do this, you can do this, you can get this, you can. It starts small. And then I'm going to ask you, how do you eat an elephant? Because some of the things that face us are so big that we sometimes wonder, how on earth could I eat an elephant? How could I get over that mountain? And at the end of the program, I'm going to tell you, if you don't know already, how you eat an elephant. Because an elephant is several times my size, thank God. And So it is very difficult to eat an elephant, but it's very easy if you know the process of getting there. So we're going to talk about process today. How do I get to where I want to go from where I am? And we all start from behind the gate. Okay? That means that we all come to life with lots and lots of disadvantages. And so we need to learn to know how to get around these and how to use our disadvantages to our advantage. One of the things that I always talk about on the show is how to turn your disadvantage into your advantage. And I spoke about the fact that I was born with deformed feet. I had 4 ankles. And now I am a liturgical dancer and I dance all over the world, from hopping around on 4 ankles, graduating to soldier boots with iron inside of it, and now I can dance with or without shoes because I have overcome, with the help of my operations manual, I have overcome that hurdle, that disadvantage. So let me look at my notes here and see that I don't repeat what happened yesterday. All right. You know, from time to time, I'm going to mention my mascots and my all the different things on the set. One of the things that we talk about in Jamaica is out of many one people, right? And you'll have behind me several different ethnicities or several different cultures represented. I don't know if we have a wide shot today, but I had my oriental corner over there. And behind me, also oriental, I have my screen. And here I have my Jamaican. And it is actually an angel reading a book with the Jamaican flag behind. And here I have some of our wonderful vegetation. My number one plant is here, and it's called Moringa oleifera, right? And so this plant is the miracle tree. We're going to talk more about it because we have developed at Earl and Sheraton Health Ministries 30 therapeutic products from Moringa. Not just products that we make and we have researched and made, but products that we can show you how to make, distribute, and use to help in your own health and in the health of your families, your communities, and eventually our nation. So here we have an angel. And what an angel is? An angel is a messenger from the Creator who is bringing information to us. And this is who I identify with, a messenger from the Creator who is looking into that operations manual and transferring this information to those whoever wants to listen, whoever wants to hear, and whoever wants to put it into action. So as we talk about action, let us talk about how we put these things into action. How do we get stuff from the thought process into action? Pay as you enter. It's so very, very important that you have long-term vision. That means you're willing to forego present gratification for future gain. That's what pay as you enter is all about. How do you get there? Well, first of all, I don't know where the chicken is and where the egg is, but I'm just going to give you the different stages. We talk about thoughts, we talk about emotions or feelings, we talk about words, and we talk about action. There's also another one somewhere in the middle here called decisions based on choices. And I don't know which one comes first and which impacts the other, but we know that all of them are a part of it. So let's just start from the thoughts, because sometimes we think that that is where it starts, eh? Something comes up in our minds, and it is usually based on what is brought into our spirits by our senses. Now, our senses are, the ones you learn at school. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, and what you feel. Right? Those are our senses. And they bring information and facts from what is around us into the thinking process. So I will wake up as I did last night, and it was hot. And I would think, oh my goodness, I need to change from these long sleeve pajamas and put on something that is a little cooler, right? So the thought that comes into our minds is related to the things that we feel with our senses, what we see with our eyes, what we smell, what we taste, what we hear, and what we feel. So know that the thoughts that you have are not generated by anything else, but what impacts your overall senses. So those are the thoughts. And our thoughts result in how we feel. Because after you have a thought, then now it determines how you feel. For instance, I wake up this morning and I say, oh, it's pouring outside. I see it, I hear it, I smell it, I taste it. I can see that it's raining outside. And then I said, something, I think I'm going to snuggle up in the bed. And furthermore, I have a toothache this morning, so maybe I won't go to work. Right? You've gotten input from your senses. You think about processing this input, and then you decide or make a decision or a choice as to how you're going to respond to this input. So we have the thought coming in that it is raining, you have a toothache, and so you have made a decision and a choice that maybe you won't go to work today. So here we have the process starting. Well, after you have had that thought and made that possible choice or decision, you now have to put it into action. So you're going to say to yourself, I have so and so to do at work today, but it's not absolutely essential. So maybe I will go or maybe I will not go. Now, what you say is now going to determine your decision. You can decide, oh, I've got this thing to do at work. So I don't care about the toothache. I don't care about the rain. I need to go in today. Or you can decide, well, it's raining. I have a toothache. I can't be expected to go in today, and so I won't go in today. So you always have a choice. You always have an option as to which of the decisions you're going to take, whether to go in or to stay. So that's the crucial part. When you make a decision from two options, you should always think, am I making this decision only in my best interest? Or am I making this decision in the best interest of everybody? Right? And if that is what propels you to make the decision, then you know it's the right decision. If it's in the interest of everybody, then it's the right decision. If it is a decision that is only in your own interest, it's a wrong decision, because every decision always is a win-win decision. How do you know which decision to make? Look in the operations manual, man, because it is all there. The thoughts, going to the feelings, going to the decisions, adjusted as needed by your speech. And then you're going to take action. But before you take action, you need to understand the action of adjusting those thoughts into a place where you make those decisions. One, we have been given the image of God, our Creator, and part of that image is that we have the ability to create. And how did God create? He spoke things into being. And we have the same ability, whether we think we are using it or not, everything you speak shall come to pass. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those that love it shall eat the fruit of it. That means if you speak bad, you're going to get the fruit of a bad tree. If you speak good, you're going to get the fruit of a good tree. So it's not going to happen right away. No. You speak, and the tree, you plant a seed. Just by your words, you plant a seed, and that seed grows, and it can only bear the fruit of the speech that you have made. So when you speak over your child that they are going to be worthless like them father, are going to be X like their mother, then you have planted a seed which is going to grow into a tree and must bear the fruit of what you said. But guess what? You can cut down the tree, you know? You can cut it down, pour some poison on it, and make it dead. But it's a good tree or a bad tree. So if you speak good, and then you go and throw poison on it, then you're going to make a tree shrivel up, right? Or if you speak bad and you take an axe and chop it down and replace it with a good seed, then you shall have good. So at any point in time, you can make a change. You know? You can make a change at any point in time. Yesterday, as I was listening to part of my recording of the day before, I realized that sometimes I speak too quickly. So today I am trying to slow down so that all the non-Jamaicans in our audience can get exactly what I'm saying. So if you have spoken badly over a situation, you can reverse it. If you have spoken well over a situation, you can also reverse it. So make sure that you don't have good and bad coming out of the same mouth. Because if you do, you need to understand how it affects not just your thought processes, but affects your action. And I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro has to do with your brain and nervous system. Linguistic has to do with what you speak out of your mouth. And programming has to do with setting in place certain principles that have to come up over and over again. That will happen every time you use a program. We all know when you program your computer or program any other thing, it does the same action over and over and over. So how can you expect to speak bad and get good? It's a program, and it's called neuro-linguistic programming. Now, how does it work? When you speak something, it goes out and it goes into your ear gate. That ear gate goes into your thought processes, and it starts to send messages to your nervous system. Now, one of the things that a lot of persons don't know, that it's not just information jumping from one neuron to another. It is the imbalance that is created in the chemicals that will create the information. Because we have to recognize that information travels from one place to the other by what we call our neurotransmitters. Our neurotransmitters are the chemicals in our bodies. And when we, for instance, speak or express certain emotions in our speech or just in our thinking processes or in our actions, then different chemicals will be put out into the chemical mix in our bodies. For instance, when I jump up and down on my rebounder, I release those endorphins from my hormones right here at the brainstem. And guess what? I start to giggle, and those are the feel-good hormones. So I just feel good. But when I start to fear something, then I will put out a different set of chemicals. And those chemicals are going to cause a poison in my chemical structure because it is now going into an imbalance in the chemical structure. And those neurotransmitters are going to transmit all sorts of things so that I lose control of my physical being. For instance, I'm frightened and fearful, and all of a sudden, I feel something warm running down my leg. I do not have control. And that is how we faint and we urinate, wet ourselves because we have been frightened by something. It's all a chemical reaction which is caused by our neurotransmitters, which are our chemicals, which has been stimulated by our emotions. So you see how speech can affect emotions, which can affect the chemical balance of our bodies, which will affect our involuntary actions. And we wonder, why did I do that? How did I get sick here? Because we didn't pay attention to the things we were putting in to our bodies, not through the mouth, but through the thinking and emotional processes. So, did you know that all is tied in together? It sure does. And so today, as we think about paying as you enter, we need to think about the processes of bringing to pass the actions that we need to move the process along from sowing the seed to reaping the benefits of that seed. Now, there is no seed sown that is going to be reaped immediately. There has to be a process. And I want to tell you a little bit about the process of growth. Because, if I'm going to plant probably a coconut tree, I think it's after 3 years that we will have, normally, we can reap coconuts. But guess what? If I plant a callaloo seed, in 4 to 6 weeks, voila, I am having callaloo. I can have callaloo juice. I can have pepper pot soup. I can have pickled callaloo. Oh my goodness, 6 weeks. So I want to talk a little bit about growing time. Do you know that the growing time of our vegetation is an indication of the amount of protein in the product? Bet you never knew that. You thought that most protein comes from meat. Plenty protein comes from meat. But flesh foods have in too much protein for human bodies. If you eat flesh foods, you are giving yourself the DNA or the RNA of the animal that you eat. So if you're accustomed to eating the flesh of a cow, then you shall develop the DNA of a cow, which is a large muscular body and teeny weeny brain. I used to drink cow's milk every day until I was about 18. Guzzle it, quart to a gallon a day. I used to love it. And that was why they used to call me Super Baby, because I used to lift up all the guys, and, when all the girls were walking around in their little frilly dresses, going, I was doing all sorts of tomboy things because I was drinking so much cold milk. I was developing a wonderful body. I had good muscle tone. I used to do gymnastics, and everybody was afraid of me because I know that I couldn't lift them up. Everyone was afraid of me because they knew that I could lift them up. All right. So, understand what is happening when you take in the DNA or RNA of other animals. So the only milk that we are supposed to be suckling and having is human milk. And that is supposed to be for 2 years. A lot of people don't understand that. We need to be having that to develop all our systems for 2 years. But let's get back to P as they enter, because this is part of it. We need to understand that the growth process takes time. And if you put in cantaloupe, you will be able to go on clear and reap in 6 weeks. But if you put in coconuts, then it's going to take you 3 years. So what do you want? And I really suggest that you plant some short-term crops and you plant some long-term crops, so that while you wait for the long-term crop to come in, you can reap and eat the short-term crops. And that applies not just in the physical agricultural arena, but also in the psychological and the spiritual arena. So learn the process, understand the sequence of events. Thoughts affect feelings or emotions, which determine what you say, and what you say creates more feelings and plants seeds that are going to grow up into a plant. So, you can't plant a seed and say that seed dead. Not a seed will die. Every one of them will grow. Some will be late bloomers, some will be along the path where people trample them, but they will all grow. So watch what you plant. Mr. Producer, you need to remember to give me my 30-minute signal, so that I don't go over time on each of my areas. Know your action. Now, one of the things that we spoke about before is that we need to have assistance with our actions, because remember, our dreams are supposed to be bigger. Thank you. Bigger than our capabilities. Our dreams and visions must always be larger than our capabilities, because if it has been put into us by a supernatural being, then that supernatural being, my creator, wants to come alongside me and help me along the way. Because if it is that I can manage my dream with my own abilities, with my own skills, then why do I need help? Why do I need any assistance? So know that when your dreams are supernatural in terms of impossible for you to carry out at your present capabilities or with your present capabilities, then it means that you need to ask for help, right? And what does my operations manual say? It says that when you ask for help, my creator will do exceeding abundantly above all that I could ask or think. Can you imagine that? All that I could ask or think. But guess what? Ask and think have to go together. Sometimes we sit down and we have these daydreams. Boy, I tell you, I used to have some daydreams. Oh my goodness. A lot of them have already been have come to pass. But there are lots still to come, because I wouldn't even share some of them, because they'll say I'm a mad woman. But guess what? I dream outside the box. And so my answers come outside the box. So I'm going to encourage you to dream there. But ask or think has to come together. The thinking usually comes first, because we dream and we think about this and we see ourselves standing in front of huge audiences. We see ourselves doing amazing things that we don't have the ability to do. That's what has been put in us by our Creator. But how do you get to it? You have to ask. And yesterday I shared that acronym, ASK. First, you ask. Anytime you're faced with any challenge, first of all, you ask. It says, nothing happened to you in life, but it happened to other people. Common to man. Once you are a part of the human race, you will have challenges. But guess what? Your Creator is faithful. He will not allow any challenge or stress or problem or test to come your way. But He is always there, waiting and ready to help you. But you have to ask. Prayer, supplication, with thanksgiving. How does thanksgiving come in? Because you have to acknowledge that you're thanking Him for the previous time that He has brought you through. Right? Because when you look in the operation manual, boy, there are answers to every question, every single one. But you have to search for it. How can you sit down here and expect to be in a treasure hunt? Everybody out there looking to dig up the clues, and you are sitting down here doing nothing. You will never find treasure. You have to search. That's why we have an operations manual. So that when you have a bit of problem, you go to troubleshooting and you will find the answer. But you have to make a contribution. You have to do your part. And that is why you have to pay as you enter. Because if you don't pay at the beginning, then you cannot take responsibility for the reaping, right? Because most of it will not be your input. So it has to come from your input that you're going to have the major reaping at the end. So we're still back to asking. We have got to ask and be conscious all the time of what you have already received. That's why the thanksgiving has to come in. Because if you have received all those things in the past, it will bolster up your confidence and give you the assurance that because you have experiences where you have already seen how your Creator came through for you, then you know of an assurance that He's going to come through again for you this time. So, prayer, supplication with thanksgiving. Make your request known. And then guess what you'll get in exchange? Peace. Remember when we spoke about shalom? Whenever you go through that process of asking, seeking, and knocking, A-S-K, then you give thanks and then you just settle back because now you're going to have peace. And what does that peace mean? Shalom. Everything in perfect upright order. That's where you're heading to. And you have the assurance that that is exactly where you are going to get to. So, why should you be worried or anxious? It says, be anxious for nothing. But in everything, we need to go through this process. And then we have that peace. And remember, any stress that comes to you, why? Your cousin over there in Australia, and you over there in China, you guys down there in Japan, hi, our Japanese fans, and our European fans. We know that you are listening. And not to forget our British fans. You, incidentally, are our largest audience. So we thank you. And we ask that you just pass on to your friends that reggae2reggae.com is not just doing reggae music any longer, but we have embraced the total Jamaican lifestyle. And every hour of every day, we're bringing you everything that's good about Jamaica. So if there's an aspect of Jamaican lifestyle that we are not yet covering, do drop us a line. And in 2 2s, we will have it online for you. So remember, Reggae to Reggae is committed to showing you the best of Jamaica, the good about Jamaica. We will not be bringing on any issues that are not good about Jamaica. We have enough persons publicizing our bad side, and everybody has a bad side, and washing our linen in public. That's not our option. Here, we have taken the option of showing you everything that is good about Jamaica. And so if there's an area that you don't think you have enough information on, write us, email us, call us, contact us, and we will be sure to put it right in the forefront of our programming. Remember, coming up, we're going to be having our night talk. So on those shows, we're going to be looking at all the controversial issues. But out of that, we will be showing you the solutions. We're not about chatting up a storm and looking at the pros and cons and then coming out with, we haven't come up to a solution. We are about solutions, right? And so we are going to show you how you can continue to celebrate life, because that's what it's all about. Remember, that's rule number 4, That is how you get to the end. And that is what you do in the end. Celebrate life. So, back to pay as you enter. When part of the payment is reining in those desires and those wants that you have, we all have, taking the easy route. Tell me about it. Yesterday I had a rough day in the last 24 hours. First of all, well, let me go from the end. I was coming in through the gate last night and a bee sting me. I put my hand on the gate to open it, and there's a bee sleeping on the top of my gate and decides that he's going to pinch out a piece of my flesh. Not only was that a problem, but it was hot. I screamed out and went rushing across the road to my neighbor and sister to tell her that a bee just stung me. So, of course, his physician, he said, anytime anything happens to me, I forget what I would have recommended to somebody else. And I kept rushing over there, a bee stung me, what am I to do? And I held on to it. Well, that's the first thing I did right. When you get a sting, you are to hold onto it to prevent the blood from circulating quickly to the other areas. It doesn't matter whether it's a scorpion or whatever else, tying off and preventing the blood from going. So the rest of your bloodstream would prevent, in the case of a scorpion, lockjaw, right? And I remember I was bitten by a scorpion one night, and I remember that tied this thing right around my foot. It was, because it was on my foot. I stepped off the bed onto a scorpion, and I had to be rushed to the hospital. And so I had this thing drawn tight. And I'm here to tell you, clearly drawing it tight cannot cut off all the blood, because there's blood flowing in those little capillaries inside that it didn't tie off. And when I just got to the hospital, which was about 15, 20 minutes away from my home, I felt my mouth dropping down and getting heavy. And I was just in time for the doctor to give me an injection. So, anytime you get stung, first thing, try and prevent. If it's a sting that you can see, pull it out back. And then most of the poison will be out. So I went over, and first thing she said was ice. And she got the ice and put it on it. That's another thing. Whenever you get any sort of inflammation coming up, ice is great for it. Well, that was the last thing that happened. But before that, I got up and I decided, in a sort of a semi-dazed state, to go through my program of exercising. And part of it has to do with rebounder. I dragged myself over to the rebounder. That's the little thing like a trampoline, but it's not a trampoline, that you jump on to stimulate your lymphatic system to move the poisons out of your body. So I moved towards the rebounder, and instead of stepping on the rebounder, never jump onto a rebounder, never jump off of a rebounder. Always step on and step off so that you can maintain your balance. I just jumped on and immediately was at the wrong angle and my knee popped out of joint. Here is another scream. I screamed and held on to my knee. pushed it back into joint, but the pain remained. And so since then, I have been hopping around. That too shall pass. And so, what do I have to celebrate about that? Well, where the bee sting is concerned, next time I remember what to do. You know what to do for stings? The best therapy for stings immediately. It's called urine therapy. Urine therapy. I remember when my sister, as a child, we went to the beach with our whole family, and she was stung by a jellyfish. It was called a Portuguese man of war, and it was the most beautiful thing. The fish looked like this, sort of a jelly substance, and had all these tentacles, purple and pink and blue and green, hanging down from it. Oh, it was the most beautiful thing. And she said, "Oh, look at this." And she went up to it and she sort of wanted to pat it because it was so beautiful. And it just came up and went like that and sprayed all over her. Sprayed all over her this poison. It was almost like a cobweb of poisons. And immediately just stung her and she came back and recoiled and went on shore. And everybody was, it was like she was paralyzed by this sting. And of course, do you know what the best thing for that was? Urine. So I don't remember what happened on that occasion. But since then, when I've seen that happen, I said, okay, everybody come. And everybody would, well, it was usually the man, who would just come and provide a hose of urine. Now that sounds sort of weird, eh? It sounds sort of, well, I want to tell you a little bit about urine therapy, because how do you get to test urine? Or why do they have a urine test? Because your urine carries the excesses out of your system. It's not poisonous. It is the excesses, some of which are poisonous, that are in your system. And what happens in your chemical balance is that your urine will take the excess that will keep your chemicals in balance. Because a chemical imbalance is a result of too much of one chemical and not enough of the other. Similarly, a poison in your system is the same thing. You have too much of maybe a good thing, when too much adrenaline comes out, or too much dopamine, or too much X, Y, or Z, you get a poison which produces a chemical imbalance. So here we have, what does the urine take out of your body? Your toxins. But what are your toxins? Imbalances created by too much or too little. So it is actually your excesses that come out in your urine. And you have 3 stages, right? What comes at the beginning, which is what has been settling in the bottom. What comes in the middle, which is what is in the middle. You have a jar, just like how you have your urethra, right? And that is bringing down the urine. Everything is going to settle as it does in a jar. You have the more of the sediments at the bottom. You have the midstream, and then you have the top part, which is what is at the top, as you would in a glass or in a test tube. And so remember, you open the hole at the bottom, and so it comes out. So that is how we know, by the excesses that are in the urine, whether somebody is pregnant or not. And so whenever you are going to catch your urine for therapeutic purposes, you usually catch the midstream. Anyway, we will talk about that another time. But just to make you understand that urine therapy is a large therapeutic area of healing modalities, and I have several books on it, studied it, and if you are interested just go on the internet and find out about urine therapy. You will find that there are a lot of things. Most bites can be alleviated with urine therapy. Moving right along. Now, if it is that your urine is really toxic, I would not suggest that you use it for any therapeutic uses, right? Because how do you know your urine is toxic? By the color. And the brighter the color, the more toxic. And how do you remove the toxicity out of your system? Water, 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 water. You will need to go back to our second, third, or fourth program where we spoke about immunology 101. How you can learn how to get all the poisons out through your urine and bring your urine to colorless. Back to pay as you enter. Because in the midst of all these things, me hopping around, I mean, ooh, this is good. Or is it this one? I don't even feel it any longer. One of the things that I did after I tied on the ice and I put some anti-bite cream on it and it prevents it from swelling at all. Then I came over and I had 4 cups of water. And after the 4 cups of water, the poison that had been deposited into my bloodstream was diluted and washed out through my urine and my sweat. Because 4 cups of water will send you to the bathroom to urinate and it will also stimulate the sweat glands to move it out. So do you see how important water is in the whole scheme of things? So whether you live or whether you die, it's important to understand that you can celebrate. Do I have to celebrate over these 2 instances? One, never will I open my gates without looking to see if the bees are there. Because guess what? I have a beautiful plant near to the gates. It has on about 100 blooms, and every morning all the bees come, and there's like 1, 2 bees in one bloom. So there's just a hive of bees that come to feed there. So I have to watch out. I can cut down the tree, but I wouldn't like to do that. And so I have to look out for the bees. Secondly, I have to remember that you're supposed to stretch before you get involved in any strenuous exercise. This is what I teach. Why don't I do it? It's time to learn. And that means it's the last thing I want to talk about where this is concerned. That is what sickness and illness and problem and stress and accident is about. They are all gifts from our Creator. Gifts to remind us of how we need to stop, think about what we're doing wrong, and correct it, adjust it. So if you have been diagnosed with a life-threatening or problematic condition, remember, embrace it. Embrace your illness because it is an opportunity to stop, assess why you are at the point where you are at, and then make adjustments. So, cancer or AIDS is not a death knell. It is merely an indication to look at what you have been doing incorrectly, analyze what you have done to contribute to this, and reverse it. That's why my area is disease reversal. And I'm here to tell you, if you follow the instructions in the operational manual, then you will reverse your condition every time. Because my Creator never fails. He made this body. He knows everything that goes wrong with it. He knows how to correct it. And the only time we don't get that correction is when we do not follow His instructions 100%. So let me back up to one of my favorite words there. It says, this operations manual, don't stop looking in it, don't stop talking in it, don't stop observing everything about it, because this is how it will make you successful. If you do what is in here, if you meditate on it, if you observe everything about it, it will make you successful and prosperous and will heal everything. Because this operations manual was sent, every word in there, to heal us, to fix us back spiritually, psychologically, and physically. So, more from the manual as we go along this journey of celebrating life with me, because that is how I get to fix all of my conditions and the conditions of my clients and my patients. So, remember what I asked you at the beginning of this program? How do you eat an elephant? And the answer is, you got it? One bite at a time. Anybody can eat an elephant. It might take you a week or a month or a year or 10 years. But if you keep biting off a little piece every day, this is after you cook him up, and season him up, you curry this part, and you fricassee this part, and so it tastes good. So the journey of eating an elephant must be an enjoyable journey. So, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. After you have made sure that it is a very, very delectable meal to have, right? So it's not a matter of grin and bear it. You can make your processes enjoyable. That is why my food, my raw food, tastes better than the cooked food. One day we're going to do a culinary academy, which incidentally we did Sunday gone, and is online for you to download, not download, to watch. So, more about that. So, I want to go into my manual for just a little, you know how it's important to speak things into being? And, oh yes, you got to speak to the mountain. Speak to the mountain. And I'm going to quote from a little part of this manual. It says, "Who are you, great mountain? Before Zerubbabel, you shall become a plain. He shall bring forth the capstone with shouts of grace, grace to it." But wait, when I name Zerubbabel, how does this apply to me? You have got to speak to your mouth. You are to speak to it and say, "Who are you, oh great mountain?" I say, me, Cheryl Chong, says that you shall become a plain. I shall have what I say. So every time I see a mountain in front of me, I just speak to it. I said, "Who are you?" My creative power, which I have been given from my creator, is bigger than any mountain, because greater is that creative power in me than any other pure power in the world. Whether it's pure or it is big, mine is greater. So remember what power you have. So, who are you, great mountain? Before Cheryl, you shall become a plain. End of story. But hear the rest. And he, my creator, shall bring forth the capstone with shouts of grace, grace. You know what who grace is? We don't call grace, we are not calling grace. We are calling God's provision that he is going to make to bring to pass what he wants to happen in our life. Remember, he has a plan. What is that plan? Do you know why it says a capstone? Because the capstone is the end result, the finished product. You have to keep in front of your eyes the finished product all the time. That's why you have to write it down. Always have the finished product. You know what I do? I draw sketches of what I like and what I want. I am not an artist, but sometimes I use stick men and whatever. But I draw a sketch of what I want, and I say, this is the finished product, and that is where I am looking. I cut out pictures out of magazines. I have what is called a wall. I used to use double doors, and on all of it, I cut out pictures of everything that I want to have, and I have it in my eyesight. When I lived at a certain home and I wanted to have 2 million US dollars, I got two dummy $1 million bills, and I placed it on the ceiling so that when I go to sleep, I could see the $2 million. And that thing stayed in front of my face until I had the $2 million. So after that, I decided to photocopy all of these, and I had a wall with $1 million notes. It works, it worked, and it can work again. So make sure you have the capstone, the finished product of whatever you want, always before your eyes. Because if you continue to look at it and speak it into being, make sure that that mountain that is supposed to be an obstacle in your way becomes a plain because of the grace, the ability of your Creator to bring to pass what He has intended for you. So remember how to eat the elephant, a bite at a time. And remember how to keep your focus by always looking on the finished product. So I have an assignment for you. I used to do this when I taught groups in the inner city. Everybody had to have a scrapbook because sometimes they didn't have a door to put the stuff upon. So everybody had to have a big scrapbook, and you can take even newspaper and make a scrapbook. But you get every kind of magazine and you cut out pictures of what you want out of the newspaper, out of any flyer, an advertisement, what have you, and you paste it up all over this book. Things about every aspect of your life. And you make sure it is always there for you to focus on it. Because wherever you focus, that will be your altitude. That will be how high you will be able to climb. And whenever you get to that goal, lift your eyes again, focus again, have a new goal so that you will eventually be always going up, up, up. And remember, whenever you have to eat an elephant, it's not just one bite of it at a time. Make sure you season it up and make sure that the ride and the journey is an enjoyable, delicious one. So come with me again every 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Today we were a little late because we had technical difficulties and we could not get our program going. And I am here to tell you the blessing is coming down. Do you hear it? It's pouring outside. And it's wonderful. And there's a little thunder coming. And so we will soon be off the air. But you need to remember that whatever the weather, whatever is happening, we must understand that we have been given the tools. We have what we need to do. We need to make our contribution, pay as you enter, so that you will know that you have made your input to the great, great, great rewards, the great harvest that you will be able to reap at the end. So, as we close out, let us just review our 4 rules of celebrating life with me. 1, you must know where you're going. 2, you must know the driver. 3, you must pay as you enter. And 4, you must celebrate the journey. So celebrate life as we come to you every day from 12 noon to 1 o'clock on reggae to reggae.com. And as our theme comes floating up, I want to remind you that not only are you able to get our other programs on video on our website, www.reggae to reggae, one word, radio TV, or reggae to reggae.com, where we have everything wonderful from Jamaica that's happening. So you can also call us if you'd like us to stream your program that is happening to the world on Reggae to Reggae. If you would like to share your program, anniversaries, uh, personal issues that are public, you know, christenings, anniversaries, birthday parties, special events, and this is not just for business or corporate events, but also for personal events. If you're having an event here in Jamaica and you have friends all over the world, we will stream it for you live so that they can benefit from actually being there on real time. That means that it is done at the time when it is happening immediately. So they can even call in on their cell phones or have their input immediately. You know, sometimes you get the news after the fact and it's too late for you to make your contribution or have your input or correct some mistake. And that is the advantage of live streaming at real time. So I think I hear my theme coming up. Is it things have got to change, Mr. Producer? But whether it's that theme or not, I'm not hearing very well. But I'm here to tell you, things have got to change. Be a part of the change agent in your own life, in the life of your family, in the life of your community, your school, your workplace, your nation. And then you will be part of becoming a world changer. Because remember, every Jamaican is a icon. Ciao. See you later. Jamaicans.